I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Hello and welcome to another Business Renovator. The $100,000 buzzsaw in your warehouse needs to be cleaned, sharpened, and serviced. Are you paying attention to the tools, resources that serve you in your business? When I come back, we'll talk about that a little bit. Till then, watch this little plug from Focal Point, the company I'm a part of. Have a question about business? Send me an email. Let's set up a time to have a 20-minute virtual conversation. No credit card required. It's just a conversation. Maybe we can answer the question immediately, or if I don't have the answer to it, part of the network of coaches around the globe that I'm affiliated with, I'm sure there's one in there would be able to give you an answer to the question. So in the meantime, welcome to us looking at the $100,000 buzzsaw needs sharpening, taken care of in your business, in your life. So when I first came across this idea, it showed up in an email this morning and reminded me of the original place where this idea came from for me. That was one of my mentors back several decades ago, and he suggested that we needed to recreate, slow down, and take time away from what we do on a regular basis. So it gives our mental faculty the opportunity to rest and rejuvenate itself. And often what ends up happening is when we're away from the things that we do on the day-to-day basis, our creative mind slows down enough and comes up with some really good insights and answers to the things that we were working on, challenged by, and saw as a problem. A good example where we do slow down a little bit is when we have a shower. And have you noticed the thoughts that come to you when you're in the shower and how free you are in your creative thinking process? Or is that just me? Anyway, here's another one. Slow down to go fast is another way to look at this. And there was a quote by Thomas Edison. I'm just going to bring that up here. There it is right there. And what he's saying in the quote is that 5% of people think, 10% of the people think they think, and the other 85% would rather die than think. I think that's probably true for a lot of us. I was actually trying to find via Google a definition or an explanation of what the toughest job is. And I was hoping it was going to come up with thinking, but it didn't come up with that. Matter of fact, it came up with this. Let me go there. Here's the definition of thinking. It says the process of using one's mind to consider or reason about something. Now, I know we think habitually in a regular basis. We have this thing called the self-image, and the self-image keeps us in our isness or in our habitual thoughts. Others call it our paradigms. Whatever you want to call it, it's the same sort of thing. It's the things that we do automatically, unconsciously, without much conscious thought. It's not saying we don't have conscious thought. We absolutely do, and it's part of the process. It's in that unconscious area where we get stuck, and our thinking is not really contemplate it. It's not like uh, Edison says 5% of people think. What he means by that is actually to really think about something, write it down, noodle on it, no, not just a surfacey thing, but really doing some critical thinking and allowing yourself to be creative and let things flow. One of the exercises that I work with my clients is the 20 idea method, or the mindstorming process. And that's essentially, um, what's the problem or challenge that you're having, and you can't seem to come up with an answer for it. You've tried everything on the conscious level, and it just hasn't surfaced. So you can actually start to tap into your creative subconscious mind by creating a list of 20 or more answers to the question that you've posed to yourself that identifies the problem you have that you were trying to overcome, the solution you're looking for but you can't find. And the way this shows up, or the best way to implement it, is to find some quiet time by yourself, pen and paper. Yes, pen and paper. And there's a reason for that. The neuron connectivity by writing versus typing is so much more powerful. I once took a copywriting course, I don't know, about 10 years ago or so, maybe even longer. What I got out of that was I realized how challenging copywriting was and decided that's not what I wanted to do. But I do understand the power of it. Anyway, I digress. Going back to the lesson that came out of the copywriting course, was an assignment we were given was to write 2 sales letters. We didn't have to write them, actually. We had to transcribe what we had been given by hand, and writing them down. And that was a very challenging exercise. Even though I didn't have to create it, even just writing it down, which seems like so much hard work. Well, the thinking aspect of work is probably one of the hardest things we'll ever do in our lives, thinking. I don't know how many calories it burns. I've heard it burns a lot, but I don't have anything to quantify that. What I wanted to do is go here is, when I was doing the research on the Google search on what's the hardest work out there. Well, it came up with the 25 most stressful jobs, 30 hardest jobs, and these are physical jobs where there's a title, and a position and an activity. So there's nothing in here about actual thinking. These are specific trades, professions, and I don't want to take anything away from any profession or any trade, because some of them are damn hard, right? Hard is not just physical hard; it's emotional hard. It's people in the first responders roles. Man, that's got to be a tough job. Got to be a hard one. But what I was looking for, and what I wanted to share with you guys today, is that some of the hardest work out there is actually the thinking. Going back to what Edison said, that 5% of us think we think, 15%, actually 5% of us do think, 15% think they think, and the other 85% would rather die than think. It does take a lot of effort, and concentrated effort. What's cool about it, though, is if you're interested in tapping into your mental muscle, mental fitness, you can actually change that, just like working out. If you're doing, cardio or yoga or, high impact training, all of that you get better at by doing. You become more healthier, you become stronger, your cardio is better. Well, just like that, we can do the same thing with our mind, our brain. And mental fitness is a fantastic way to do that. So, what are you doing to make your mind stronger than what it was yesterday or 5 minutes ago? I constantly read and think and journal. I don't have my journal here, it's in another location, otherwise, I would have showed it to you. But an email this morning showed up, gave me the title for today's conversation. It was the $100,000 buzzsaw in the warehouse. Needs to be cleaned, sharpened, and serviced. What are you doing to make sure that you are looking after your $1 million mind, $1 million brain? That's what I've got for you today. One last thing before I go is, also in that email, I was inspired by an associate of mine, a wonderful individual who has a tendency to say, anywho. If he hears this, he'll know who he is and he'll know who I'm referring to. But I'll leave his name off. Not that I'm ashamed. I'm not. He's an amazing individual. But he said the cure for fear is action. And I suggest, or I encourage, or I invite you to take action, to do what Thomas Edison said. Be part of the 5% club that actually does think. Put your thoughts on paper. Take the 20 idea method. Sit down. Ask yourself, write down the question of the problem that you have, and sit down and get at least 20 ideas, and don't get off your butt until you actually accomplish the 20 ideas. And the ideas, everything goes. It's kind of like a mastermind session for yourself, a brainstorming session, but you're doing it for yourself. Write down absolutely everything, and then go back over the list once you've got to at least 20. You can certainly go to more. Do it in one sitting. Don't have any distractions, and see what comes up. And once you've got the list completed, take one of the ideas that you can implement right away, because success likes speed. And then if you still haven't got the problem resolved, an answer to your question, do it again tomorrow. And if you haven't got the answer then, do it again the next day until you get the solution to the question that you've posed. Try that and let me know what happens. So if you're watching this live, thank you for being here. And if you're watching on the replay, please go #replay. Let me know where you're listening in from. And if you have a message or a story, if you know somebody that has a story or a message that you think would be beneficial to share with the world, make an introduction. We're always looking for interesting people to share their story with our audience. And we're just about wrapping up at our show here. But before I do that, I wanted to remind you to go and be your wonderful self, just like this image shows. The you in wonderful is representing you and myself and everybody else, because you are wonderful and you are unique. So I encourage you to continue acting like your wonderful self. Until next time, I'm Coach Phil on the Business Renovator, and have a marvelous and wonderful week.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.